What we need is not more medication, but more education, because the best prescription is knowledge. This is Exposé coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria, every Monday on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook simultaneously. I'm the regular host, Tony Akinyemi. Don't forget, what we need is not more medication, but more education, because the best prescription is knowledge. Hello and welcome to Exposé with Tony Akinyemi this beautiful Monday evening, 8 p.m. Nigerian time. It's always our joy and our pleasure to come your way with vital information for your wellness and health transformation. Your well-being is of utmost importance to God. That's why we've been mandated to render this service, bringing you information for your transformation. 2 weeks ago, we commenced a series on fertility, or if you wish, infertility. We started the first 2 episodes by looking at detoxification, particularly colonic irrigation, because we have seen that it is of utmost importance for us to get the body, particularly of the woman, ready before pregnancy takes place. And so cleaning out the body, cleaning out the whole house, as it were, and laying the bed and setting everything in place before the baby is invited to come and dwell inside this body for 9 months, the first 9 months of its life. It's very, very important. Having laid that basic foundation of cleansing the body, we now want to go into the nitty-gritty of fertility or infertility. You will agree with me that infertility is a major problem in the world today. Some studies have already established that low sperm count has virtually become a menace in our world today. Men 50 years ago, 100 years ago, produced more sperms than modern-day men. And we're going to be looking at the factors responsible for that as we continue in this very wonderful conversation on fertility. Infertility is a major problem. It has caused marriages to break. It has brought undue pressure and, if you like, a lot of distress into many homes, many marriages, many hearts, many lives, particularly in our part of the world where having children in marriage is of critical importance, particularly in Africa, and most especially in West Africa. Now, so understanding the dynamics of infertility may help us to offer help and solution to those who desire to have the fruit of the womb. And that is why we're looking at this very important subject beginning from this moment. So what is infertility? Now, infertility is the term used for women who are unable to get pregnant, and for men who are unable to impregnate a woman after at least 1 year of trying. So when 2 people, a man and a woman, come together in holy matrimony, and they become husband and wife, and they begin to live together, and they make sexual contact, and they continue for 12 months, and they are unable to achieve pregnancy, then we begin to talk about infertility. But for those who have tried for just 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, they are not yet described as having the challenge of infertility. I have seen couples who wedded, and then after the first month, the man, the woman expected that the woman will miss her period, and then she doesn't. In the second month, she sees her period, and they're already agitated. Hey, we thought she would be pregnant by now. There is only a 24-hour window within a month for a woman to get pregnant. 24-hour window. Why is that so? is because a woman ideally ovulates once a month. She releases an egg from her ovary, and the egg will drop into the fallopian tube. And if she makes sexual contact with her husband, and her husband has viable sperms, and the sperms migrate, they swim, and they go into the fallopian tube, and one of the sperms will now fuse with the egg or fertilize the egg. That's when pregnancy occurs. When that egg is fertilized and the egg descends from the fallopian tube into the womb and is implanted in the womb, then pregnancy has been achieved. Okay? Now, if that egg drops into the fallopian tube from the ovary of the woman, the egg can only live for 24 hours. 24 hours. After 24 hours, if that egg is not fertilized, it will disintegrate. And so the couple have to wait till next month again when another egg, hopefully, will be released from the ovary. So there's only that 24-hour window when that egg has not yet disintegrated. From the time of ovulation till the time that the egg integrates, 24 hours. That is the chance available for one of the sperms to fertilize the egg, and then pregnancy can be achieved. So if that opportunity is lost, you wait for next month when another ovulation takes place. That's why I said there's only a 24-hour opportunity, a 24-hour window within a month for a woman to be able to get pregnant. So if you miss the first month, you wait till next month, and then you try next month, and then you wait till the next month, and on and on. So if you try 12 times consecutively like that, and then you are still not able to achieve pregnancy, that is when we begin to talk about infertility. You need to get that straight. Then number two is the fact that in women, when we talk about infertility, the term infertility is used only to describe those who are of normal childbearing age, not those women who cannot get pregnant simply because they are either perimenopausal or menopausal. If you meet a 70-year-old woman who entered menopause maybe 20 years ago, and then she continues to have, intimate relationship with her husband and she doesn't get pregnant, you don't describe her as infertile. She's menopausal. You don't expect her to get pregnant except something out of the blues happens. Okay, so when we talk about infertility in women, we're talking about women within the childbearing age, from menarche to menopause. So what is menarche? Menarche is the onset of menstruation, the age at which a girl enters puberty and begins to menstruate. So her first menstruation, that is menarche. And then when a woman ceases to menstruate and she doesn't menstruate consecutively for 12 months, then she has become fully menopausal. So the time between menarche and menopause, that is what we call the childbearing age. And that could be anywhere between 30 years to 35 years to 40 years, depending on the individual. The age at which girls enter into menarche or puberty is dropping and dropping by the day. Gone are the days when girls saw their first menstruation between the ages of 15 and 17. These days, we even find 8-year-olds commencing menstruation. They enter puberty at age 8, age 9, age 10, That is what is happening in these modern days. And there are a number of factors responsible for that. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk about that in one of the episodes in the future. But so, when we talk about infertility in women in particular, we are referring to a woman who is within her childbearing age bracket, between menarche and menopause, who is making consistent, intimate contact with her husband and yet is unable to achieve pregnancy. Now, the inability to achieve pregnancy may be arising from the woman and it may be arising from the man. We will get to that. But we're trying to define infertility. Okay? Now, when women who are able to get pregnant but who cannot carry a pregnancy to term, to birth, may also in some cases be considered as infertile as well. Not that they are not achieving pregnancy, but they are unable to sustain the pregnancy through the 3 trimesters, through 9 months, until the baby is ready for birth. And so maybe they lose the pregnancy in the first trimester or lose the pregnancy in the second trimester. Such a woman who is unable to bring a baby to term is also categorized along those who are dealing with the challenge of infertility. Okay. Now you will notice that I have made use of some terms in my statements before now. I mentioned the word menarche, menarche, and then I mentioned the word perimenopause or menopause. Okay? Now, you will notice that these things have to do with women. Menarche, onset of menstruation. Menopause, cessation of menstruation. Again, you also notice that when a woman sees her monthly period, that is also called menstruation. So menarche, menopause, menstruation. And when women go to treat their fingers, at the salon, they call that manicure. So you can see that all those technical words begin with either M-E-N or M-A-N. Menarche begins with M-E-N, men. Menstruation begins with M-E-N, men. Menopause begins with M-E-N, men. Manicure begins with M-A-N, man. Now, all these technical terms relate to women, but they begin with the word men or man. Well, I leave that for you to meditate upon. Why is it that women like men so much, that everything about them is men or man? Menarche, menstruation, menopause, manicure. Food for thought. All right, let's continue. Let's look at some fact file here today. Now, a woman is born with all her eggs when she is born. In other words, when a young girl is born today, she arrives the world today. The mother gives birth to her today. She comes with all her eggs from heaven. Approximately 400,000 immature eggs. Those immature eggs are referred to as oocytes. O-O-C-Y-T-E-S. O-O-C-Y-T-E-S. Oocytes. That is immature eggs. A baby girl is born with approximately 400,000 immature eggs. And all these eggs are stored in the follicles of her ovaries. So she comes from heaven with all her eggs. She doesn't make new eggs on earth after birth. But those immature eggs, one after the other, when she reaches puberty, certain hormones are released in her body that will mature at least one egg per month. It could be 2 eggs per month. 1 egg per month will mature, and then the follicle will rupture, and the egg will be released and drop into one of the fallopian tubes. Typically, in an ideal situation, in a typical situation, one ovary, there are 2 ovaries, one here and one here, one on the left, one on the right, in a woman, inside the body of a woman. Typically, one ovary will mature 1 egg and release it this month, and then next month it will be the turn of the other ovary. So they keep, alternating like that. They keep alternating like that. One ovary releases 1 egg this month, that's ovulation, and then another ovary releases the other egg next month. Some women are able to know precisely when that follicle ruptures and the egg is released. They feel a pinch on that side of the body. Some women don't know. It just happens, without any big do. Okay, so that's how the girl matures her eggs 1 a month at least. Sometimes both ovaries may release eggs. Sometimes 1 ovary may release 2 eggs. And that's why you can have a set of twins, for example, that are not identical. But if it is 1 egg that was released and fertilized, and that egg now divides into 2, that becomes identical twins. They look exactly alike, at least physically speaking. All right? So a woman or a baby girl is born with all her eggs, around 400,000 oocytes, immature eggs. And these eggs are stored in follicles in her ovaries. Then for the man, it is estimated that the extragonadal sperm reservoir is approximately 440 million spermatozoa, and that more than 50% of these are located in the tail of the epididymis. The epididymis is the long convoluted, tube that connects, the testicle of a man and then carries things out like that. It's like a warehouse where spermatozoa, all the sperms, are stored after they have been produced. And at any point in time, it is estimated that about 440 million sperms are stored in the tail end of the epididymis per time. Okay? So those are some facts just for our information. Now, in a man, the length of time it takes for a man to produce sperms, because you see, unlike a baby girl, when a baby boy is born, a baby boy does not come with a single sperm from heaven. He only comes with the factories to produce sperms. And those factories are the two testicles, the two balls. Okay? Now, the testicles are like factories where sperm production takes place. Now, when the baby boy grows up and reaches puberty, usually in the early teen years, then certain hormones are released in the boy's body to prime the factory and ready it for sperm production. The process of sperm production is called spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis. And that process, from the time the production begins till the sperms are mature and ready to go to work, that duration of the entire spermatogenic cycle in humans is approximately 74 days. So once a boy reaches puberty and begins to produce, and sperm production commences or spermatogenesis commences, within 74 days, a batch of sperms will be ready. And then they will be stored in the epididymis, ready to be pushed out during ejaculation. Okay? Now, approximately 15% of couples attempting their first pregnancy meet with failure during the first year of marriage. And again, the ability to have a child typically declines as the woman ages. Okay, so far, I've given you a couple of facts, okay, regarding fertility. Number one, I said a baby girl is born with all her eggs when she's coming from heaven, approximately 400,000 oocytes in her ovaries. And then it is estimated that the extragonadal sperm reservoir, the amount of sperm that are warehoused in the epididymis of a man, is approximately 440 million per time. And then I said a baby boy, unlike the baby girl, is not born with any sperm from heaven. He doesn't come from heaven with any sperm. He comes empty. But he comes with the tools for sperm production. And when he reaches the age of puberty, he commences sperm production. And the process of sperm production is called spermatogenesis. And the process for producing a batch of sperm to maturity is approximately 74 days. That's why when I place some men who have low sperm count on my protocol to boost their sperm count, I tell them to do that for approximately 90 days, 3 months. It is exactly 74 days or thereabout. But I allow them to do it for about 90 days. They do their semen analysis to see their sperm count, both the quality of their sperms and the quantity of their sperm before they commence. And after the 90-day plan, they do another semen analysis so that they can compare. Quite often, in most cases, except in a few exceptions, in most cases, after 90 days, their sperm count will have doubled or tripled or quadrupled. Okay? I've seen somebody who was at 8 million, and then within that period, he jumped up to about 80 million. That's times 10 in the sperm count. And then I've also said that approximately 15% of couples attempting their first pregnancy usually meet with failure during the first year of marriage. And then we concluded by saying that the ability to have a child between a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, declines as the woman gets older. Okay. Now, so that is the fact file that I have presented to you. Now, we are going to go on a very short break, and when I come back, we'll be talking about different types of infertility, and then we'll look at who, between the man and the woman, or maybe some other external factors, could be responsible for challenges of infertility. Now, when we know what is responsible, we are better able to proffer solutions. And after that, we will continue the conversation. Don't go away. This is Exposé with Tony Akinyemi, brought to you by the Shepherd's Flock International Church. Don't forget that what we need is not more medication, but more education. For the best prescription is knowledge, because to be informed is to be transformed, and to be uninformed is to be deformed. I'll be back very shortly and continue this beautiful conversation on fertility or infertility, as the case may be.
Join Reverend Tony Akinyemi for a free health seminar live on Zoom on Friday, November 25, 2022. Time is 8 p.m.
Welcome back. This is Exposé with Tony Akinyemi. We are streaming simultaneously on Facebook and YouTube. In case you are yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, this is the appropriate time for you to do so. There is a small button below this screen that you're looking at, and it says subscribe. Just click on that word, subscribe. That's all it takes to subscribe. And once you subscribe, then there is a notification bell, a bell, the kind of bell that they ring, bagong, bagong, you see the bell there. Just click on that bell. It's called the notification bell on YouTube, and you will see that, next time we come live or we upload a new video, your device, whether your phone or your iPad or your laptop or your desktop, any device you are using to view this, that device where you subscribed on will alert you that we have come live so you don't miss another episode. Exposé comes up every Monday at 8 p.m. Nigerian time. And it's a 30 to 45-minute discourse on critical and vital subjects relating to health, wellness, longevity, and your well-being. Today, we are on the third episode in this new series on fertility or infertility. Okay? We have looked at some fact file items. Now, I want to talk about different types of infertility. Of course, we are not going too technical. We're discussing layman to layman. And we're simplifying everything to make us able to comprehend and also relate to what we're saying. Three essential types of infertility. The first one is primary infertility. And the second one is secondary infertility. And the third one is idiopathic infertility. Now, what is primary infertility? That is a situation where a couple is trying to have children, okay? And they are yet to achieve pregnancy and have a baby. They haven't had any child at all. That's primary infertility. Secondary infertility is a couple, they have had one child, they are trying to have a second child, and they are not able to achieve another pregnancy. In other words, they already have one, but they can't have more. That's called secondary infertility. So they were fertile before, now they are experiencing infertility. That is secondary infertility. Idiopathic infertility, well, we don't know what is causing it. Everything has been examined. Everything looks okay, but yet they are not able to achieve pregnancy and what have you. All right. Now, for secondary infertility, a number of factors may be responsible, chief among which is what we call the resource factor, R-H-E-S-U-S factor, resource factor, R-H-E-S-U-S, resource. Now, that was got from the rhesus monkey. It's a factor that is usually depicted by the positive or negative sign, plus or minus. Now, if you are blood group O, for example, and you check your blood group and they say you are O positive or O negative, see that positive or negative that your blood group carries is the resource factor. So you're either blood group O resource factor positive or blood group O resource factor negative. Now, so if two people get married, a man and a woman, and the man is O positive, for example, and maybe the woman is O negative. In other words, both of them have opposite resource factor. One is positive, the other one is negative. For such a couple, they may achieve the first pregnancy, and if that pregnancy is either miscarried or carried to term and the baby is delivered, within 72 hours of delivery, there is a special injection that doctors will normally administer to the woman so that her body does not clamp up against the next pregnancy. If that is not done, then the woman's body, because she carries an opposite resource factor to her husband, may release certain antibodies, and those antibodies will not allow another pregnancy from that same husband to stay in her body, because that pregnancy will be seen as an intruder, an invader, and the woman's body will fight that pregnancy, so the woman may never be able to carry another pregnancy for that man. And then they go into what we call secondary infertility. That's why it's important for couples to always check their resource factors whenever a couple is when they are going through premarital preparation before wedding. They need to know their resource factors. The man needs to know whether he's positive or negative. The woman needs to know. If both of them are positive or both of them are negative, then there's no problem in that regard. But once you are of opposite resource factor, it doesn't mean you shouldn't get married, but it means that you need to be aware of the fact that there is the possibility of secondary infertility if you don't take that precaution when you deliver your baby. So that's why this critical information is very, very important. So people experience secondary infertility for different reasons. That is one of the reasons, the resource factor, okay? So I go through that again. 3 types of infertility. We have primary infertility, we have secondary infertility, and we have idiopathic infertility. All right, so I hope that is very clear. Now, let's go ahead and look at what could be the causes of infertility, particularly primary infertility. I have explained one of the causes for secondary infertility, resource factor. Now, what are the causes of infertility generally? Now, before we begin to look at the causes and how to mitigate them, let me go through the 6 critical steps. 6 critical steps that happens between a couple for pregnancy to be achieved. Now, infertility does not have a single cause. In fact, in my research, in my studies, I have been able to identify and collate approximately 25 reasons why couples may find it difficult to achieve pregnancy. 25. Again, we'll be talking about that along the line in one of the subsequent episodes. But for today, let me outline the 6 critical factors that will enable a couple to achieve pregnancy. Because successful pregnancy is a multi-step chain of events. A multi-step chain of events. The first step in the chain of events is that the woman, her ovaries must be able to release a viable egg or eggs. You know, I mentioned earlier in the first half of today's presentation that a baby girl is born with all her eggs from heaven. And every month when she reaches puberty, every month one egg matures and is released. So for pregnancy to happen between a man and a woman, the woman must be able to mature one egg in one of her ovaries and release that egg, and that egg must be viable. Okay, the amount of eggs in a woman's ovary is called her ovarian reserve. How many eggs does she have in her ovaries? And every month, she matures one, she ovulates it, she releases it, and so her ovarian reserve is depleted by one. So as a woman gets older, her ovarian reserve gets lower because she keeps losing one egg every month as she ovulates and menstruates. She loses one egg. So her ovarian reserve declines, depletes. Okay, so the first step is that she must be able to release a viable egg. The second step in that multi-step process to achieve pregnancy is that when that egg is released, it must be able to travel down the fallopian tube. The fallopian tube is connected, it's like a funnel, to the ovary. And the egg drops into the funnel and it must go down through the fallopian tube. That means that the fallopian tubes must not be blocked. If the fallopian tubes are blocked, the two of them are blocked, that is called bilateral fallopian tubal blockage. Bilateral tubal blockage, when the two fallopian tubes are blocked. But if it is one that is blocked, that is unilateral tubal blockage. Now, if a woman's two fallopian tubes are blocked, then it means that even if she ovulates, the egg cannot travel down and the sperm cannot meet the egg. Fertilization cannot take place. And so pregnancy cannot be achieved. So you see, the first step, she must release a viable egg. Number two, her tubes, fallopian tubes, must be patent. In other words, they must be open, and the egg must be able to travel down. The third step is that the husband, the man, must also be able to produce viable and virile sperms and be able to release the sperms and deposit them into his wife. That is what will go to fertilize the egg. Okay, so we're talking about the fact that not only the woman needs to get viable eggs, the man also must be able to produce viable sperms. So he must be able to ejaculate and release virile sperms into his wife. That's the third step. The fourth step is that the sperms that the man releases must be able to travel to the fallopian tube to meet the egg. Now, these sperms that the man releases, the sperms are capable of living for 3 days, 72 hours, 3 days. And so within those 3 days, they must be able to travel, and the egg lives for 24 hours. So the sperms must travel. Some people deliver, some men will deposit the sperm, and the sperms will just sleep where they are. They are just lazy, and they just sleep where they are. They don't swim. They don't go to meet the egg in the fallopian tube. So no fertilization can take place. So step one, the woman must release a viable egg. Step two, her fallopian tube must be open, patent. Step three, the man must be able to ejaculate and release the sperms. And number four, the sperms that he releases must be able to travel to the fallopian tube. They must be able to swim. They must not have defective tail. They must be able to swim and get to where the egg is in the fallopian tube. Step number five is that when all the sperms manage to swim to get to the fallopian tube where the egg is, one of them, at least one of the sperms, must be able to fuse with the egg, penetrate the egg and fuse with the egg. That's called fertilization. So once one of the sperms is able to achieve that, then pregnancy can occur. In some cases, the sperms have what we call defective heads. The heads are unable to penetrate the egg, so they are not able to fertilize the egg. Even though they got to the egg, they swim and dance around the egg, but they are not able to penetrate. They are not able to fuse with the egg. So fertilization doesn't take place. So that's step number five. Fertilization must take place. And then step number six is that the fertilized egg must be able to descend from the fallopian tube and get into the uterus, the womb. And the womb must be prepared like a bed that is laid for somebody to sleep on. And it's like the soil that is already tilled and broken for seed to be sown into it. So the fertilized egg descends and it must be implanted. That's called implantation. Implantation. So let me go over the 6 steps again. The woman releases a viable egg. That's step one. Step two, the egg must be able to travel through the fallopian tube. In other words, the tube must not be blocked. At least one of the tubes must not be blocked. And then number three, the man must be able to produce sperms and release the sperms through ejaculation into his wife, or maybe through artificial insemination. One way or the other, the sperms must get into her. And then number four, the sperms must be able to swim into the fallopian tube and meet the egg. Number five, the sperm must be able to fertilize the egg. And number six, the fertilized egg must be able to descend and get implanted into the womb. Those are the 6 steps. It is a multi-step chain of events to achieve pregnancy. Now, problems with any of these 6 steps can lead to infertility. If a woman is not able to ovulate, that's called anovulation. Then, if a woman cannot ovulate, then she cannot achieve pregnancy. If the fallopian tubes are blocked, then they cannot achieve pregnancy naturally, except they are assisted. Because if the tubes are blocked, for example, some procedures can be carried out to open the tubes. That's a possibility. Or the tubes can be bypassed through technology. The egg can be extracted from the woman and the sperm collected from the man, and then the egg is fertilized with the man's sperm in a test tube, and then when it is fertilized, it is now planted into the woman. That's called in vitro fertilization or test tube fertilization. That's IVF. In other words, you are bypassing the blocked tube, and you are helping to achieve what could not be achieved naturally. So if there's a problem with ovulation, there can be pregnancy. If there's a problem with the fallopian tube, there can be pregnancy. If the man is unable to gain erection, is not able to penetrate, is not able to ejaculate, then there cannot be pregnancy. And if the sperms are not able to swim to meet the egg, there cannot be pregnancy. If the sperms are not able to fertilize the egg, there cannot be pregnancy. If the fertilized egg cannot be successfully implanted into the womb, then there cannot be pregnancy. So now you understand how infertility occurs. If any of the 6 steps is impaired, then pregnancy cannot happen. So when we're dealing with infertility, what we're actually looking at is we look at these 6 things and we begin to examine them one by one and begin to correct any problem that may be there. And once you're able to fix the problems, then the couple can achieve pregnancy. Now, scientifically, it is said that when a couple is unable to achieve pregnancy, 1/3 of the time, it is due to the woman. Problems or challenges or issues on the side of the woman, 1/3 of the time. And then 1/3 of the time, infertility in a couple is also due to issues arising from the man. And 1/3 of the time, it is due to unidentifiable reasons, or sometimes they say to both partners. Now, that's why when you see a couple that is unable to achieve pregnancy, and then all the blame is shifted on the woman, as if she's the reason why they can't get pregnant. In this part of the world, in Africa, when there is infertility, the woman is always the one to carry the burden. They say it is the woman. She's not able to get pregnant. Because she's the one that carries the pregnancy, so she's blamed for not being able to get pregnant. No. Infertility is 50-50. Man, woman. The man can be responsible and the woman can be responsible. Similarly, in this part of the world also, when there is gender issues, usually couples in this part of the world want to have a boy and a girl, they want to have boys, they want to have girls, okay, when they're having babies. And so if the woman continues to give birth to girls and girls only, in this part of the world where they love to have sons, they begin to blame the woman again for giving birth to only girls. Give me a boy, as if the woman is the one responsible for the gender of the baby. What most men in this part of the world don't know is that the man is responsible for the gender of the baby, because the woman carries only XX chromosome, and the man is the one that carries X and Y chromosomes. So when the man's X fuses with the woman's X, the baby is a girl. When the man's Y fuses with the woman's X, then the baby is a boy. So the man is the determinant of the gender or the sex of the baby. So if your wife is having girls and girls and girls and girls, if you must blame anybody at all, blame yourself. And in any case, I don't see why you blame somebody for having a girl. Are girls not good children as well? I have 2 beautiful girls, and I'm so proud of them, to the glory of God. I have 1 son as well, and I give glory to God for that. Okay? A child is a child, boy or girl. It depends on how you train them, how you raise them. That determines the value that they bring into your dynasty at the end of the day. Now, all these sentiments about male or female should be something we should terminate for life. Children are gifts from God. And when they come in the male gender or female gender, we receive them with gratitude in our hearts, and we do our utmost to raise them to become the best that they can be. There are some girls that have been so much of a blessing to their parents than even the boys. It is not whether the child is male or female that determines the value they bring. It is how you raise them, how you treat them. That determines the value they are able to bring to the table ultimately in the years ahead. So invest in your daughter, invest in your son, raise them, train them, and you will have, if I may use a business language, returns on your investment. All right. So this is where we call it off for today because our time is up. Next episode, we will start talking about male infertility. I want to start from there because I want to address our minds to the fact that men too can be the reason for infertility in a couple's life. So we'll be looking at male infertility and causes of male infertility in the next episode. And after we finish with the men, we will now go on to look at the woman's side, female infertility. And then we will summarize and look at all the 25 factors on both sides combined that can be responsible for infertility and how to mitigate them. Thank you once again for spending your beautiful Monday evening with me this third Monday of the month of November 2022. Thank you for your time always. It's always my joy to be your host on Exposé with Tony Akinyemi. See you on same platform, either Facebook or YouTube, next week, Monday, 8 p.m. Nigerian time. If you have not yet liked us on Facebook, please go ahead and do so. If you are yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the notification bell, also go ahead and do so. And then do two more things for me. There is a like button there. Just like it. Click on like if you enjoyed this presentation. And then send this video to your friends and your colleagues and let them listen to it. It will bless them. We like to hear your feedback all the time. So please get engaged in the chat room all the time. Once again, I pray that your week is blessed. And we'll see you same time next week. God bless you and bye-bye.
Join Reverend Tony Akinyemi for a free health seminar live on Zoom on Friday, November 25, 2022. Time is 8 p.m.